To film the whip transition using the camera, you're going to have to use a DSLR or a camera that has good enough quality to film such a transition. So I'd recommend DSLRs or any other types of mirrorless cameras. Try not to use your phone, just because a phone like an iPhone doesn't have enough weight to sustain the whip. So sometimes the whip may look up and ending up looking really blurry and looking really distorted. Cameras such as DSLRs have enough weight to sustain your movements, so the whip actually comes out a little bit smoother. So to show you how to actually film this whip, what you're going to do is you're going to choose an object that you want to transition to. And the whip transition essentially looks like you're constantly just whipping the camera as the objects are changing. So in order to continue that effect, you need to actually whip to the object and whip back out at the object. So there's not only a whip at the end, but there has to be a whip at the beginning as well. So what you have to do is you choose your camera, point your camera to the object that you want to focus to, and you're going to use the strength in your arms to whip the camera to the object, and then you focus on the object, and then you whip out using the same strength in your arms. If that arm strength does not create enough whip, what you're going to do is you're going to flick your wrist as you move like this to create enough whip so that the transition will come out looking seamless. So what you have to do is you have to position yourself firmly on the ground, and using your arm weight, you're going to whip in and then whip out. So once you've filmed your various clips using this whip method, I'm going to show you how to edit now the whip transition of Adobe Premiere. So I've put my two clips onto my timeline, and as you can see here, there's a whip in the middle to switch between the objects. But just having the two clips side by side isn't really enough to make this whip transition perfect, because what you have to do is make sure that the whips between the objects are almost seamless, so it looks like it's actually one clip that you're whipping the camera instead of various clips that are stitched together. So at first it's going to be kind of tricky, but once you continue practicing, it becomes very effortless. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to find the point where the whip between the first clip and the whip between the second clip will blend well together. This means that I have to find a very blurry place on the first clip and a very blurry place on the second whip. So as looking through the clips, right here seems about a very good place to stop the first clip. So I'm going to shrink right here. And then the second clip, around here is a good place to start the second clip. This is because the point of focus is very blurry at this point because I am whipping the camera. And by focusing on one of the two blurriest points in the clips will allow for us to have a smooth transition. So as you can see here, the transition seems a little bit better, but we can still add a little bit more to make the transition more seamless. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Effects. I'm going to add a crossfade effect between here. So I'm going to Effects here. I'm going to search for crossfade, and as you can see, there's one called cross dissolve. And I'm going to put this effect right between these two clips, and then I'm going to shrink the size a little bit just so that the cross dissolve happens between the end of the first clip and the beginning of the second clip. So a good time is between 3 to 5 seconds. And make sure that this cross dissolve is right in the middle. So as you can see here, the whip is a little bit more seamless because this cross dissolve, what it actually is doing, it's dissolving the end of the first clip and kind of fading in the beginning of the second clip so that the whip seems almost seamless. So I'm going to show you the entire sequence so you can see what the whip transition can really do. So as you can see, there's once again a very seamless whip between these two objects. That is what you are aiming for, and it takes a lot of practice to identify when to put the whip transition, but once you do a lot of practice, This transition is actually a very fun transition and very cinematically useful.